The claim for the 60s, you know, the women's movement, the beginnings of environmentalism, a certain kind of hippie ethic, breakdown of a whole range of social restrictions. Truly, you know, it was a very important time. But none of this had really happened at the beginning of the decade. So it's as if they stand on a kind of shore, as it were, a beachhead of change.
It's probably significant, I imagine, that Florence is a musician who specialises in chamber music, because on Chesil Beach seems to me a little bit like a literary equivalent to a piece of chamber music. Everything has to count, it's very tightly structured, it's in 5 movements basically.
The idea of the violinist, I think, is interesting because, being a string player, because it wouldn't really make quite the same point, would it, if she was a trombonist? Her character demands a string player, you know, slightly fussy, slightly fastidious.
She has to lead the string quartet. There has to be, I really wanted this difference of her confidence, the way she can impose her will in rehearsals, the contrast between that and how she is in this intimate moment, terrified, hesitant, full of visceral horror.
I think he's very keen on chamber music now, and the intensity of it, the emotional conversation between various people. And I love the ways he used the word agitated to describe the way of playing the music. Not just the music, but the way of playing it, like agitated pizzicato or something like that.
She had been aware of a stately, simple musical phrase, playing and repeating itself in the shadowy, ungraspable way of auditory memory, following her to the bedside where it played again as she took a shoe in each hand. The familiar phrase, some might even have called it famous, consisted of 4 rising notes, which appeared to be posing a tentative question.
There was a kind of polished economy about Mozart, which is reflected in Ian's own work. You know, a kind of a lyricism about human nature and a depth to it, but also an extraordinary technique and economy of means.
Because the instrument was a cello rather than her violin, the interrogator was not herself, but a detached observer, mildly incredulous, but insistent too, for after a brief silence and a lingering, unconvincing reply from the other instruments, the cello put the question again, in different terms, on a different chord, and then again and again, and each time received a doubtful answer.
Ian really gives the reader a sense of that kind of painful privacy. Of course, with Florence, there's a reason. I mean, she's also frightened, which is very subtly referred to in the book as why she is.
McEwan seems to be very capable of writing from the other side of the gender divide. And just from a human perspective, being able to inhabit different bodies and get at different sides of a situation.
I was so amazed when I finished reading the book, and I immediately went to my email and went blah, 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 blah. And I guess when we were talking on the telephone, I said, I'm just astounded at your insight into women. And he was very sweet. He said rather quietly, oh, well, I've known a few women.
She came across certain phrases or words that almost made her gag. Mucous membrane, the sinister and glistening gland. Other phrases offended her intelligence, particularly those concerning entrances. Before he enters her. Now at last he enters her, soon after he has entered. Flesh but pain parted before a knife. Was she obliged on the night to transform herself for Edward into a kind of portal or drawing room through which he might process? Penetration.